everyone, it's Carol here at Oak House Journals. As always, a very big warm welcome. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm going to do the next guest check in the 50 stack challenge, which is a challenge to alter guest checks. If this is new to you and you want to find out more, look in the description box below the video. So I'm going to do guest check number 27, and the prompt that we've been set for this guest check is doily. So I've got some little doilies here. This is a single doily, and this is two that have not separated. Now I'm going to be working with the ones that aren't separated just because they're a little bit more robust for what I have in mind today. This is my guest check. I back my guest checks, and the reason I do that is because my guest checks were incredibly flimsy and thin, so I wanted to give mine a little bit more substance. And as you can see, I've just cut a piece of paper the same size as the front of my guest check, and I've just put a very slight dab of glue across the top there just to hold it in place. I'm also going to be using a couple of dies. So I've got this Sizzix Alterations die. This is the Holiday Greens. The code number is up there, but as always, information in the description box below the video. I'll also be using another couple of dies. Now I've got a set of these oval dies, and sorry, I've had them for years. I don't know what the name is, but I'm sure there are plenty out there that you'll be able to find. So I've got one of those, and I've also got this tiny little snowflake die, and this one just came off AliExpress. Let's get started. All I've done with my doily is cut a portion out of the center so that I can get it to fit with a slight overlap onto my guest check like that. I'm just positioning my die on top of my doily to get a rough idea how it's going to sit. So now I'm going to take away the doily, holding each side so my die doesn't move. And I'm just going to check how far away it is on each side to make sure I've got it roughly centered, and I'm happy with that. Now what I want to do is I want to put this through my die machine. So I've measured out on the reverse of my guest check where I want my aperture to be cut. So I've run this through my die cutting machine, and I've got my fingers crossed here that I've done my measurements right. So I'm just going to take the die off the back and take it away. And as you can see, my hole has been cut all the way through both layers, the guest check and this piece on the top. And as you can see here from on my desk, I've cut out the snowflake. I just cut it out in some pearlescent cream card. It's a little bit thin, and whilst it is pearlescent on both sides, it's not really showing up enough for me. So I've cut out two, and I'm just going to put a dab of glue on the back of one and sandwich it with the other one, and hopefully I can line these up okay. There we go. That's a lot better. And I've also used, out of that Sizzix Alterations Holiday Greens die set, I've used the one that looks a bit like seaweed, this one down here. That's what it looks like when it's out of its packet. And I've cut 3 pieces, a couple of pieces in just plain, very lightweight cardstock, but as near as I could get to this background, and then one in a variegated cardstock that I just had in my stash. I've chosen a couple of pieces of acetate scraps from my stash. These aren't very big and they're not the same size. I hope you can see that. Both of them are wider than my aperture. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sandwich my snowflake between the two like that. Just offer it up in there to make sure that the edges are all covered, and they are. So what I'm going to do is just glue round the edge just to trap my snowflake in there. I'm going to glue this piece all in place and trap this in there. Now I'm just going to run this round on my sewing machine. So just a couple of lines of semi-messy stitching on my machine all the way around the outside of the guest check, and on the reverse all I've done is I've flattened it down a little bit with my bone folder. Now what I want to do now is position my doily over the front of this so that I don't get too much of an overlap in here. So I think what I need to do now is just carefully snip away following this line round there. These two portions are going to have to overlap because that's the only way I could get the doily to fit on the page like that. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue. Now because my doily will separate, I'm just touching it in a few places so that I can keep the two layers together. But I don't mind if I've got a little bit of lifting at the side because that's just going to add a little bit of interest, as I'm always saying. There we go. So what I thought I would do now is just try and layer some of the vegetation around the inside. So I'm just going to break off little portions. Well, I've got a piece there that's bent, so I'm thinking I might just kind of pop that one up there to hide that join a little bit up there, and see if I can find another little portion there. Just really sort of build up a little bit of foliage all the way round. So there we go, everybody. Those are my pieces of foliage glued down. I've got here off to one side a snow pen by Ray Hurst. So I'm going to try touching up my piece here with a little bit of this snow, and feels like it wants something at the top here, certainly something at the bottom. As I say, now I'm going to go in with my snow pen and see what effect I can get on here. So let's give it a go. So this is what it looks like with the snow added to it, and the snow is now dry. It dries very, very quickly. And as you can see, I've just gone in with a couple of these very, very tiny, tiny half gems, I think they're called. They're supposed to be adhesive on the reverse, but I've had these so long that they aren't. I played around with a green one in there. I'm not sure if you can pick that up, but you can hardly see it. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to dot around in amongst my vegetation some more of the red. I was also playing around with this very, very tiny little star punch that I've got. Now I love this, but I hadn't got any red paper that I could use, because that would have been nice to have dotted that in around the vegetation, or even silver would have been nice. But what I have done is, as you can see, that's the size it comes out. I'm just going to put that on there so I don't lose it. This was the offcut from the centre, and I did try cutting out the little star, can't pick it up now, in the green and dotting that around, but it's just lost. But if I flip it over and have the white reverse, I'm actually thinking that there are one or two circles and places on my background here that I would like to add a few of these. So for example, down in this corner here, I'm just going to pop that down, and I'm just going to put that over the top. So I've just got some tiny little snowflakes, or stars rather, dotted around here, there and everywhere on my background. I mean, you're hardly going to notice them at all, but I just thought it might add a little bit of dimension to the background. Now I'm thinking, I've put a dab of glue here, but I'm not going to put one there because I'm thinking that I might put a couple of these little tiny bells down there with a little bow, and maybe a Merry Christmas over the top. So for now, I'm going to carry on adding some of these little half gems. Definitely need tweezers for these. And again, it's a case I find of just dabbing a little bit of art glitter glue and dropping them down on top because they are incredibly fiddly. There we go, I think that's looking quite pretty. And I want to add another one up here, and so on it goes. So let's just do that one and then really call it a day. So I'm thinking I might have one just up in here. There we go. There we go. That makes it look a little bit more festive, doesn't it? And not as bland as it was before. So let me go away and see if I can find a little bow for on here. I've dug out some little tiny bows and I'm going to put a little red one down here at the bottom, as you can see. So I'm going to do that in 1 second. And I've also pulled out the green ones of these little half gems, and I really don't know where the real Carol Parker has gone, but she is going for very blingy this time on this one. And I'm just going to add a dab of glue into the center of those little snowflakes that I added at the bottom here. So it is going to be very blingy today. So let's see how we get on with these. Had these in my stash for absolutely years and years and years, so it'll be good to actually use a few of them, if nothing else. Got a couple of little tiny silver bells here, so I need some twine for these, and I'm going to tie them together and glue them underneath this little bow that I'm going to glue on the bottom there. I really thought I'd have some fun with this one, so I've gone in with some of this Christmas table confetti that I've had again in my stash for years. So I've got snowmen in here, I've got Santa Claus, and here I've got some little kind of tin soldiers. So I just thought that I would go a bit mad and decorate my little floral arrangement with these pieces, just to have some fun really. And so I thought I might go in with, I think there's some little gingerbread men in here. Yep, there are, so that's one. So I think I might pop this in here as well, just down in this corner. Just going to tuck it underneath there so it's hidden a little bit. There we go. I think that's all I want to add on here. I've got the bling down at the bottom with the little snowflakes. I've been hunting around and trying to find a Merry Christmas, and I could stamp one, but I'm quite liking that one, except it's not really a red, it's more of a soft pink, so I don't think that will go. But I did see this one saying special delivery in amongst my Tim Holtz Christmas ephemera stash, so I think I might even just pop that one across the top, and then that gives me the opportunity to stamp some more of these, or punch out more of these little snowflakes and add some more bling. So I think I'm going to do that. Definitely needs something at the top, doesn't it? Here we go, everybody. This is my finished piece. I have no idea what happened here this afternoon, but the real Carol Parker wasn't in-house. I can tell you, I went absolutely mad decorating this little thing. But I had a ball, I really did. As you can see, those little snowflakes, I've doubled them up, put a gem in the middle, and I carried on doing it up here. I put the special delivery label across the top. This is one of the Tim Holtz Christmas ephemera, and that's all I had left of his Christmas ephemera. And then I had these little confetti pieces. They're Christmas table confetti pieces, and I've had them in my stash for ages. A couple of years ago when I did a Christmas journal, you might have recognised that I put in these little soldiers and hid those around the journal as a bit of frivolity. So I've got some Santa Claus, I've got the tin soldiers, I've got a gingerbread man there, a couple of jingle bells at the bottom with a bow, and I went in with the red half gems. Then I went in with some tiny pearls, half pearls, and I've even put some of the snowflakes and put some little half pearls in those. And then I decorated the middle snowflake. I'll do some close-up photos at the end, which will probably make it a little bit clearer, because I don't think you can see all the little bits that I've put in, but I really had fun decorating this one. True festive season has begun here, obviously. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'll see you for the next guest check. And I think the prompt for that one was strips of paper. Really going to have to get my thinking cap on for that one. So until that video, take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.